Good afternoon. My name is António Palmeira. I am an associate professor at University of Lusófona, and I'm also the director of a research center at that university. But you may know me also because I'm the executive director of ISBNPA, so no big pressure on me today for this talk or either for the annual meeting. I would like to say I'm sorry for all the emails and also that I have invested 1,600,000 kilos of carbon to travel to Omaha. My talk is about this idea that has been haunting me for a while of looking at spillover effects between the why we do things and the what we do things. And I was saying that this is a dream that has been haunting me for a while, and it started about 3 years ago, where I sent this email to my co-authors that I acknowledge, and it says that we had an opportunity to do a study and revisiting an older study with some new data. And as I was saying, this is following me for a while, the idea that there are reciprocal effects, feedback loops that kind of let people maintain their behavior or drop out their behavior. And it seems to me, and also to others, that behavior maintenance is very different from behavior initiation. So in order to get to this elusive goal of behavior maintenance, we need to have some sort of sustainable, renewable energy, because it's not an easy task to keep our behavior for a while, especially in, for example, weight loss context. And to study this, I started using the self-determination theory that theorizes how the whys are linked with the whats. And I prefer to use this word entanglement to express these very mysterious ways of how the whys are related to the whats. And as in quantum physics, it seems that they are quite mysterious. So our rationale for this study borrowed on the self-determination theory, as I mentioned, and with works with Rich Ryan and Pedro Teixeira, Inês Santos, and others at Patrick, for example, we developed this model that states that there is kind of a positive green path of motivation, where autonomous intrinsic motivations seems to increase the likelihood of sustained behavior. But we also have the option to use another type of internalization, of energize ourselves, that is based on extrinsic variables or in controlled situations that is usually linked to decreased likelihood of sustained behavior. So I try to follow my dreams, and this is why I'm presenting this study here that is looking at the whys of eating and the whys of exercising and the whats of doing physical activity and energy intake. This study was completed within the NoHoW study. This was a very large study that was funded by the European Commission, and this is an ancillary study. So the NoHoW had an initial sample of 1,600 people that all lost weight before they entered the study, and the study was conducted in the UK, Denmark, and Portugal with a digital behavior intervention, digital behavior change intervention, so a DBCI. The sample was more than 600 people because we needed complete data. These were the measures that we used. So you can see we measured the whys via questionnaires and the whats via objective measures with Fitbits at 0, 16, and 14 months, and 12 months, and caloric intake with food diaries at the same data points. The analytical plan, we used R for the cleaning and the correlation analysis, and then Mplus for the cross-legged and the latent growth models analysis. So the findings were, comparison correlations, everything looked as we expected, and we did pull the data. in the sense that we were not looking at differences between arms or genders. So all data was pooled. The correlations were as expected, stronger between the Ys and weaker between the Ys and the Ys. We now go for the main course, and our main course is the cross-legged and the latent growth model. So I'm showing firstly the motivation, the controlled motivation paths, and then I'm going to show you the motivation. Just to let you know, all the models will add good fit adjustment indexes, and all that was covered. And as you can see here for the controlled motivation, we notice that there are cross-legged situations between the exercise control motivation and the eating control motivation. So from 0 to 6 months and 6 months to 12 months, there is this sort of entanglement that is not very good when we're looking at motivation, but it was there. And when we looked at the latent growth models analysis, this was confirmed, and it was confirmed that, and it showed that there must be a stronger entanglement. That's why I have here this off the charts graphic, in the sense that exercise motivation changes positively and reciprocally the changes on eating motivation. This is quite clearly not a good situation in terms of the motivational aspects that we want to complete. And this is some sort of a small discussion around this. So first of all, this Y's entanglement, so the lower part of the graphic here, it should be detrimental. It's not a good thing. But we also noticed that there was some entanglements between the Y's and the W's. And this should be linked to detrimental behaviors and also some contingent Y's. I need to do this, I must do this, that should be detrimental at the long term. Now looking at the motivation, what we noticed was that firstly, there's not as many significant associations as with motivation. And especially there was not a very clear entanglement looking at the cross-legged analysis. But we noticed that there was a cross-legged process between exercise autonomous motivation and steps. When we look into the LGM, we noticed that the thing that we observed with the motivation, so the entanglement between the Y's, was also present here. And there was a positive and reciprocal entanglement between the two motivational variables. So very similar to what we observed with the motivation, but it was weaker, not as strong. And that's why the graph doesn't go off the chart. As a discussion, first, this last result is kind of a dream coming through. So it seems that when you start doing things in a positive energy in terms of exercise, this leads to better eating and so on. So I usually call this the weight management cycles, and it seems that good motivation feeds on itself, even in different behaviors. Linking the exercise autonomous motivation with steps, we also notice that, okay, when I start doing some exercise, it seems that my exercise motivation gets better, but also the opposite happens. So let's go for the conclusions, because we are running out of time. So you can see these are the limitations in the future studies that we want to complete, but I'm going to focus on the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the good was this positive and beneficial entanglement between the autonomous motivations to exercise and autonomous motivation to eat. It seems that this may lead to a very sustainable energy, that it's will lead to behavior change maintenance for the long term, and potentially to the outcomes such as weight loss maintenance that we were considering. We also noticed that there may be some sort of exercise regulation, physiological link with eating regulation. We didn't observe this, we didn't measure it, but at least psychologically, this is available. So this is a very interesting result that we will try to follow up. The bad is that we observed that there is a detrimental entanglement between the motivation variables. So this should not be good for sustained behavior. It may energize one for at least 12 months, but we do not believe that for the long term it's sustainable. Also that there is some sort of detrimental links between the bad motivation and the behaviors, steps, and intake themselves. So in terms of closing and looking at our initial model, so we can say, yes, there seems to be that the motivation should be linked to more sustained behavior at the long term, but also it looks something very interesting. If you remember, steps were entangled also with exercise motivation. So when you start doing things, just by doing it, you should be able also to increase your exercise autonomous motivation. The opposite is not as clear, but it seems also that the way that we behave is linked to the way that we motivate ourselves. So it's very interesting to start to keep going and pursuing these dreams. And that's why this is my last slide, where I'd say that, okay, maybe 3 years from now, I will be sending another email to my colleagues to try to revisit this problem, maybe with a different data set and potentially with different results. Thank you so much for your time, and let's see if we can I can get your attention in your questions.